Hey guys, welcome to another episode of PhD Journey with me. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the most confusing chapters in an entire dissertation journey for most students. So this part is called research paradigms. So for those of you who do not know, research paradigms is where a section in our paper, in our research, where we justify what is our belief, and based on that belief, why we use a certain methodology and why we propose a certain research framework. So while it may not seem like it has big impact on my overall research, but this section is something that most people struggle with because it's very philosophical. This paradigm chapter is so philosophical. It asks questions like, what is our view of reality? What is our belief of reality? It even touches on belief in God, And also, a paradigm basically is a shared worldview that represents beliefs, values, disciplines, and this guide how we think problems are solved. So our approach really depends on what's our problem statement, so my problem statement and my gap analysis and all, and how it should be studied, and the findings are transformed in a way that I believe the reality can be accepted. So I'm not sure if you understand what I mean, because I'm just rattling off here based on all the things that I've read and researched about research paradigm all this while. So yeah, bear with me. So then what I also understand about research paradigm is it determines my methodology, because it believes that if I am someone who is doing quantitative research as what I'm doing now, that means I believe that the reality is based on facts, based on numbers, and not assumptions, and very little room for just explorations, versus a qualitative paper, a realicism paradigm may be more suitable because there are room for possibilities. So I am still toying between few types of paradigms that I can choose, but based on my conversations with my supervisors and a few other professors, it leads towards positivism or post-positivism because it's a quantitative paper. So I did so many research and I've read so much about these research paradigms that I'm going crazy here with that. I've been stuck on this for a couple of days, or actually a couple of weeks already. So my conclusion is I'm going with post-positivism, and the questions I'm asking is from an ontological inquiry will be, what is the reality that I want to explore and how? So for my paper, the reality that I want to explore is really why people transfer knowledge in such that in that way, that particular manner, why we only transfer knowledge to certain people, and how knowledge transfer can affect job performance at the same time. So that is a reality that I want to explore. And epistemological, so a lot of big words, but basically what it means is what is available for me to explore, how to reach that availability of that part. So for me, that's where the gap comes in, the research gap comes in. People have studied many different areas, this, and I still manage to identify a particular gap of area that I want to study. And then the methodological inquiry comes in, which is what methods, what procedures do I want to use in this particular research. So for mine, it will be a quantitative research methodology, because I have formed certain hypotheses of how organization learning culture would affect knowledge transfer, and based on our personality trait, how that affects knowledge transfer, and how this affects job performance. So I formed several hypotheses already. So using quantitative methodology, I'm going to test out the hypothesis. So that's why after extensive research, I will go with post-positivism. So sometimes people would say that, oh, I want to do a quantitative study because I prefer numbers, for people who prefer numbers. Not me, but for some students who prefer numbers, they may say that I want to do a quantitative study because I like numbers, so I'm good with quanti. But that's a wrong approach to determine what your paradigm is. So a paradigm has many different reasons that are more appropriate for testings, so to say, So the reasons can be that like for mine, it's an investigation, and for some people, other reasons can also be because there's multiple realities that shaped by political, culture, economic, race. So there are some studies, mostly qualitative studies, that pursue those kind of ontological assumptions. So those can be different, those will be different methodology and different paradigm. So post-positivism and positivism paradigm basically revolves a lot around discovering, testing out the hypotheses, discovering the laws that govern the universe. And it's also a lot on, based on my understanding, and what I'm referring back here is a very objective view, because it's based on facts that is going to be gathered, and it's also based on what truth that counts. It's a precise observation, is a measurement, it is feedback from the people that we interview. So it is a truth that counts. And then technique that we use to gather this truth, we can use several techniques like observation, experiments, or even surveys and all. So I was very confused initially because I wanted to move towards different paradigms, mainly towards critical realism. But then after speaking to my professors and all, it looks like post-positivism is the way to go. So there you go, my friends. I hope you learned a little bit from my ramblings of what paradigm is. It's obvious that I myself haven't mastered the whole topic of research paradigm, but I've given up this particular area because I cannot spend so much of my brain energy into this topic anymore. So post-positivism is what I'm going to stick with, and I'm going to finish up this chapter and submit this for a review. There you go, my friends. Stay tuned for another episode of PhD Journey with me. Bye!